Okay. Okay, so yeah, this week's parsha is Korach. Okay, we'll talk about that soon. Question. I know, some of you here were teachers, at least somebody here was a teacher. So has anyone here ever was either a teacher or a mentor or a parent? Okay. And you just had like students or children or mentees, or what you want to call them, that were just very challenging, always challenging you, and you feel like you never get anywhere. And are you teaching them anything? Are they gaining anything from you? Yeah, and I see people shaking their heads. Yes, 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 yes. Me too. Yes, 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 yes. Ooh. So yeah, like just constantly disrupting or whatever it is, and you feel like you never got through to them.
Sure. Yeah, so 23 years of teaching, that's like encountered.
Let's counter that. Okay. So you end the year feeling frustrated, right? Or you feel like you a failure or whatever it is. So we're going to today talk about Moshe and his leadership. Twice he was like stood up to, and each time he reacted differently. Okay, and we're going to about that. We're going to learn about how to approach being in a leadership or mentor position. Okay. So to make the long story short, Korach was Moshe's cousin. He was part of the tribe of Levi, and he you okay, Sylvia? Need a drink?
I'm just driving.
Came up, he made a rebellion against, he got together 250 people, and they rebelled against Moshe and Aaron. And why should Moshe and Aaron have all the top positions over here? Why should they be, it's nepotism. It's, two brothers. We should, spread it out a little bit. I'm the cousin. I should also have something, or everyone should be equal. There's a lot of different discussions about it. We're not going to discuss it. But long story short, they had some kind of test, and all the people who rebelled died, some of them in an earthquake. Yeah. And that's the story. Okay, so let's first going to look at the story of Korach. Text 1a. And this is just like how the Torah starts out the story. Shelly, I'm going to have you read before you fall asleep.
Okay.
Okay, just kidding. Yeah.
That's right. Keep me awake. Korach, the son of Izhar, the son of Kehath, the son of Levi, took himself to a side, along with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, descendants of Reuben. They confronted Moses alongside 250 men from the children of Israel, chieftains of the congregation, representatives of the assembly, men of repute. They assembled against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You take too much for yourselves, for the entire congregation, everyone, is holy, and God is among them. So why do you raise yourself above God's people?"
Okay, so he wants a leadership position. He wants to, really what he wanted to do was oust Aaron and said someone else should be the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. But he's basically saying, hey, this is a democratic, we should have a democratic government over here, and we're all equal. All men are created equal, we're all equal. So why should you be over us? Why should you be higher than us? What's going on over here? So let us read text 1b. There we go. Okay. Harry, you want to read it?
Okay. Moses heard and fell on his face. He spoke to Korah and his company, saying, "In the morning, God will make known and draw close to him those who are his and holy, the one he chooses. He will draw near to him." Moses said to Korah, "Please listen, sons of Levi. It is not enough that God, the God of Israel, has distinguished you from the entire congregation of Israel to draw you near to him, to perform the service in his tabernacle, and to stand before the people to minister to them. He drew you near, along with all your brothers, the sons of Levi, and now you seek the priesthood as well. Therefore, you and your entire assembly are uprising against God. For what is Aaron that you should complain against him?"
Okay. So Moshe kind of shuts them down. Hey, you can't do this. This is not right. Right? He gets all upset. He goes to Hashem, say, what's going on here? And Hashem punishes them very dramatically. And we're going to continue the story in 1C. Okay. Sylvia, you want to read it?
Sure. God spoke to Moses and Aaron saying, dissociate,
Dissociate, yeah.
from this congregation, and I will destroy them in an instant. The earth beneath them split open. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their houses and all the men who were with Korah and all the property. They and all their possessions fell alive into the grave. The earth covered them up and they were lost to the nation.
Okay, so I want to say an earthquake or a sinkhole, whatever that was.
Yeah.
It swallows them up. No one's going to stand up to Moshe and Aaron again. This is a very dramatic scene that plays out, right?
Because he disrespects Moses.
Because they're trying to they're like in a rebellious way, not just disrespect, but like marad.
Okay.
They marad. Okay. So it's like a very big thing, and just whatever. Just a side note that Korach's sons actually repent, do tshuva, and they, I think, join up again. I'm saying they get saved, but anyway, okay. So
Mutiny.
so what's interesting is that two portions ago, we read 2 weeks ago in the Torah about another seemingly rebellious or people going against Moshe. I mean, they're always complaining at him, right? There's always problems and complaints, but another like something that seems kind of like a rebellion in a way. But Moshe gives a very different response. He doesn't respond all, shut them down, stop it, that's it, nip it in the bud. It comes out a little differently. So some background to that is that there were the people, there was million people, a few million people in the desert with the Jewish people, and they just received the Torah and they're still learning what to do and how to go about things and what's the right thing, but like especially things between people. So there were a lot of times where there was issues and they had to come to Moshe. Like Moshe was like the only, the court or judge. And they come to him and said, what do we do? He says this, I said this is mine, whose is it? Blah, blah, blah. All these little like, what are they called?
Counselor?
No, like,
He was the only one who could speak.
He was the only one who he was the only one who actually gave counsel and gave gave down any type of
Advice.
not just advice, but like legal, like
dictates or
no, like judgments, over. Okay. So like law. So anyway, hello. So anyway, it was getting a little bit much. It was too much for him. So many people, that he needs to have some help. So Moshe asked Hashem for help, and Hashem said, okay, pick 70 like wise, pious people, 70 elders, and they're going to help lead. So instead of it just being you, and you being the only leader, that there will be 70 other people. So you can share like 70 judges, or say like 70 people who make law. Okay. And what happens? Okay. So let us read text 2a. Phyllis, are you going to read?
Sure.
Great.
The rebellion of Eldad and Medad. 16. God said to Moses, assemble for me 70 men among the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the people's elders and officers, and take them to the tent of meeting, and they will stand there beside you. I will descend and speak to you there, and I will separate some of the spirit that is upon you and bestow it upon them. Then they will bear the burden of the people with you, so that you need not bear it alone.
Okay. So now we have 70 people who are going to be able to get prophecy, and they all go into the tent of meeting, and they all get prophecy. Now,
so it's one seat's not the final decision.
So now, now if people come to ask questions, it doesn't just have to be Moshe. They could go to any of all the 70 people can help. Okay.
Oh, by the way, did you mean the word verdict before? I'm at a red light.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Verdict.
Verdict. Yeah, I couldn't talk while I was driving, but I'm at stop.
Okay. Not exactly verdict, but yeah, that's good. That's a word that we can use. Okay. So so the thing is, there's two of these men, and again, they're pious, holy, good men, because weren't just chosen out of a pot. They were chosen because they had good qualities. And two of these men kind of didn't do it right, kind of varied. What did they do? They kind of kept on prophesying when they weren't supposed to. Let's read text 2b. Lana, want to read it?
Yes.
You on the right page, 192? Okay.
182. Moses went out and told the people what God had said, and he assembled 70 men of the people's elders, and stood them around the tent. God descended in a cloud and spoke to him, and he separated some of Moses' spirit and bestowed it on the 70 elders. And when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied. One then stopped. Two men remained in the camp. One was dead, and the other was made dead. And the Spirit continued to rest upon them. They were among those whose names Moses had written, but they did not go out to the tent. Instead, they prophesied in the camp.
Okay, so there's two great leaders. They were enough to be able to prophesize, and they're enough that Moshe chose them and picked them, but they kind of took advantage of it, and they kept prophesizing when they were not supposed to. And Joshua, which was Moshe's first disciple, closest disciple, he got really upset, and he said, "This is not how it should be. This is not how you're supposed to act. This is not what you're supposed to do." And so he ran to Moshe, and he started to say, "We have to do something." Now, what got Joshua so upset? So besides for, yes, they varied, they did what they weren't supposed to do, but what were they talking about? What did they prophesy and tell people? Is that they prophesied that Moshe will not take the Jewish people into the land of Israel. Now, that's true. That is what happened. It was a true prophecy. But this got Joshua very upset. It's meaning oh, he's not going to be the leader. So who's going to be the leader? It's kind of like making it sound like they don't, Moshe's not as much of a leader as he's supposed to be. So he got very upset. He goes and runs to tell Moshe what happens, and he said, "You have to stop this." But what happens? Does Moshe stop it? Text 2c. Noya, you want to read it? Hebrew? English? You're going to read the Hebrew, we can follow along in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done it before.
וירץ הנער ויגד למשה ויאמר אלדד ומידד ניצבים במחנה. ויען יהושע בן נון משרת משה מבחוריו ויאמר אדוני משה כלם. ויאמר לו משה המקנא אתה לי ומי ייתן כל עם השם נביאים כי ייתן השם את רוחו עליהם.
So basically, Moshe answers him, "Are you zealous for me? It's only Hashem's people, if only all of Hashem's people were prophets, right? Everyone should be so holy and good, So hey, it's okay. Halavai, Halavai, everybody should be like that. So sounds like Moshe's encouraging that they should be doing this. Why didn't he shut them down the way he did by Korach? Because Korach's complaint was, we're all holy, we're all leaders. And here, Moshe's saying, they should all be holy, they should all be leaders. So what's the difference between this story and Korach's story? Okay. Huh?
A really big difference.
Big difference. Okay, let's check the difference. Okay. Well, the end outcome's a difference, but why did Moshe react differently? Okay, so what is a great leader? Okay, how is a Jewish leader, how are they chosen? So let's see how Hashem chooses Moshe's successor. So we know Moshe does not lead the Jews into Israel as they had prophesied. And
Sorry, did he know ahead of time that he wasn't going, or this is before that happened?
No, he didn't know before they said that.
Okay.
Because I think this is before he hit the rock instead of spoke to the rock, that whole story, before he was told he's not going to go in. I mean, he didn't officially know, I should say. Yeah. Okay. So you think he would be all upset, but no, he was not upset. Okay. So text number. Hi, Eileen. You just got.
Hi. I kind of snuck in.
Okay.
Sorry.
You there? No. I guess she went off and have her read. Okay. Catherine, are you able to read, Catherine? Oh, Baya, you're there?
Sure, I can read.
We can't hear you though.
I'm
What?
gonna pass on reading.
You're gonna pass? Okay, fine. Catherine, go ahead.
Okay. Moses spoke to God, saying, "May the God of spirits, the God of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation, who will go forth before them and come before them, who will lead them out and bring them in, so that God's people will not remain like sheep without a shepherd." God said to Moses, "Take for yourself Joshua the son of Nun, a man of spirit, and lay your hand upon him, and present him before Eleazar the high priest, and before the entire congregation, and command him in their presence. Bestow some of your splendor upon him, so that the entire Israelite congregation will take heed."
Okay, so Moshe says, who's going to take over me when I'm gone? And Hashem says, Yehoshua, let's choose Yehoshua. And he says, what does he do? Lay your hand on him. So what does that mean? If you're familiar with the way that, I guess, traditionally, rabbinic smicha, rabbinic ordination is given over, it's like they officially, smicha means they lay their hand on the person who's going to become ordained as a rabbi.
Like the other generation.
Yeah, like the next generation, right? Like the next whatever. Okay. But today it's just known as smicha. If someone has rabbinic ordination, it's the Hebrew word is known as smicha. Okay. And then he says, bestow your splendor. Okay, what does that mean? How do you share? How do you bestow your splendor? So let us read what these things mean. A text 4. Eileen, you can read.
Sure. Lay your hand upon him, like lighting one candle from another. Bestow some of your splendor upon him, like pouring from one vessel to another.
Okay, so what happens when you pour, right? We have a picture on the table. You pour it into different cups. The water gets split up between the cups, right? When you light a candle, what happens? You light, and you don't lessen the fire that you lit from, right? Every fire just ends up being its own new fresh light. So these shows on two forms of leadership. There's something called power. A leader could have power, and a leader could have influence. Okay, so if you have power, you also have influence because you have the power to tell people what to do or what not to do. And if you have influence, you have a certain power, like an influencer, right? Today, there's all these social media influencers. They do something and the whole entire world goes out and does it because they have that influence. But they don't have official power over people to do things, but it's automatic. So if you're in a democratic society, right? Let's say here in Santa Monica, we have the city council, and there's 7 people or something on the city council. Yeah. You have a group of people on the city council, and they have equal power over the city. So they together decide what, laws, this, that they should do for our city, how they should spend our money, I guess, in short. Anyway, so if it's one person who's just in power, they have all the power. But here we have 7 people, so that everyone has 1/7 of the power, so to say.
17.
Well, the president is not all the power. Okay, the president has all the power.
Right. I'm just saying, but you're playing by the idea. Let's say, but if you're in a dictator, if you're in a city where it's a dictatorship, right? You're gonna have one person, right? And they have all the power. But you say, okay, I don't want to do this all by myself. I'm splitting this up, like Moshe did with the 70 elders. He's splitting up the power between the people. But if you have a great influence and you share your influence on other people, and you get 10 other people to believe in what you believe, right? Like those pyramid schemes. I don't know. No, if you get 10 other people, if you didn't have it before, okay. You don't lose any of your influence. Your influence just spreads even more, right? So I teach you all something, whatever, or get you all onto some interesting thing. You guys all go out and do that to other people, and do that to other people. No one here is losing influence. Just my original influence is gaining more and more, but it's all going through all of you. You all have this own influence on yourself, and it goes more and more. So Hashem is telling Moshe, share your power. I mean, like share your power is like sharing your I'm going to mix up over here. Is sharing your like putting your hands on, okay, is like the pouring, and sharing your influence is like the candle, and that's like sharing your splendor. How did I get that right? No, stop. Yeah, sharing influence, so pouring a drink. Sorry, splendor is power, and sorry, and the hand is the influence. Okay, so throughout Jewish history, you usually usually had two leaders, okay? Meaning you had like the governmental, the political leader, like a king, and then you had the spiritual leader called the Nasi, okay? So you had like kind of one person who kind of had a spiritual influence on everybody, and then you had the person who had the power and made the moves of war and this and that and everything else. Okay, so let us read text number. We just got so laying the hands. Okay, I just got that right. Like laying the hands is the influence. The sharing the splendor is more like the power. Okay, got it. Okay, text number 5. Did we start again yet? Okay, Carrie, didn't do a second time, right? Okay.
Okay. In the parlance of our sages, there was a fundamental difference between a king and a nasi. When our sages used the term king, they meant it in the literal sense, as the Torah does a monarch. When our sages use the term Nasi, they primarily refer to the leader of the Sanhedrin, the high Jewish court, or at the very least, the spiritual leader of the nation.
Okay, so there were times where you had, for example, who heard of Hillel? Great famous sage Hillel. Hillel Hanasi, Hillel, I'll say translate as prince, but really means like the leader, the spiritual leader. For his like Nasi leadership lasted for 14 generations from his family. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a very, very long time. There were spiritual leaders for 14 generations. Okay. So let us read that. It's an easy one, text number 6. Andrea, want to read that one? Text number 6.
It was tossed earth and furnished the man whose grandson eternal health, and his great grandson Shimon served the leadership roles during the last 100 years of the temple era.
Okay, so Hillel was the Nasi. When non-Jewish kings ruled the Jewish people. There was a time when the non-Jewish kings ruled, and who's heard of Herod? King Herod? And then after him came a king Archelaus. And they were not very good to the Jews. They were the king over the Jews, but they were not Jewish themselves. And eventually, Herod's descendant, Agrippa, became a king. And some say he was actually Jewish. I don't know exactly if he was Jewish or not, but he was very kind and empathetic to the Jewish people. Okay, so the Jewish people felt very close and endeared to him. So he was the king, but yes, they also had a Nasi, a leader. Now, he was so endeared to the Jewish people that in the year of Hakel, 7th year, when the Jewish people always gathered, and the Jewish king would usually read from the Torah to encourage the Jewish people to be close to God and to connect and keep the mitzvahs. Even though he was not Jewish king, he read from the Torah for the Jewish people, and they said, like, you're like us, you're like one of us, And this is what happened when he read from the Torah, text number 7. Sylvia, back to you.
King Agrippa arose in the temple courtyard, received the Torah scroll, and read from it while standing, and the sages praised him for this. When Agrippa arrived at the verse, "You may not appoint a foreigner over you," tears flowed from his eyes because it was a descendant of Herod. They said to him, "Fear not, Agrippa, you are our brother, you are our brother." Okay,
so Agrippa was a kind, sympathetic, the Jews loved him so much. But either way, he was not he was not the Nasi, he was not like the spiritual leader. They also had a spiritual leader. We also see this, like we spoke about on Sunday, whoever came join the class on Sunday, there was Shmuel, right? Shmuel, he was like the leader, spiritual leader, and he actually anointed King Saul and King David. So they were the kings, they had the power, but he had the spiritual leadership, right? So it's important that we have two leaders because they lead in two different, modes. Just like, as we said before, we live in a democratic society. Yeah.
David and Shmuel, it was a father and son.
No.
Oh,
Shlomo.
Shaul. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
King Agrippa, was he a foreign king or was
So
he?
yeah, foreign meaning he was a descendant of Herod. Herod was not Jewish. Some say that King Agrippa did have was Jewish. Maybe he had a mother or grandmother that was Jewish or something. I don't know for sure. But some people say that. But either way, he felt like a foreigner. He felt like he was not, he was not like part of the Jewish people, but he was so kind and good to them.
But was he king of what? Rome?
Of the Jewish, yeah, Rome, which included Jerusalem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A Roman king who was good to the Jews?
Imagine that, yeah.
Was he allowed to read from the scroll?
They wanted him to, because they respected him so much.
But God allows it.
Huh? I guess he was able to read Hebrew, or someone taught him, or someone taught him what to read. I don't know. Yeah. So it's always important, just like we have here, right? Like here we have the judicial branch and the executive branch and, all the different branches of government. So it's important that we have like these different branches, even with the leaders of the Jewish people. A king rules with power, like a mighty hand. He decides what this and what that. And the Nasi leads with influence. Okay, so let's read those, explain those two things in text number 8 and 9. Phyllis, can you read number 8?
Yes.
Thanks.
Sorry. The two roles. All the lands a king conquers belong to him. He may give them to his servants and soldiers as he chooses, and keep the remainder for himself. In all these matters, his judgment is binding. In all matters, his deeds must be for the sake of heaven. His purpose and intent must be to elevate and true faith and fill the world with justice, destroying the power of the wicked and waging the wars of God. The entire purpose of appointing a king is to execute justice and wage wars. As the passage states, our king will judge us, go out before us, and wage our wars.
Okay, so king is there to protect the people, to make sure that they're safe and secure, no enemies are harming them, and to make sure that everyone's following the general laws, right? That everyone's behaving. Okay, and then 9a will tell us what the Nasi's role is. Lana, can you read it?
Yes.
Thanks.
First, a Supreme Court is established in the temple. This is called the Great Sanhedrin. The wisest among them is appointed their chief. The wisest one of them is appointed their chief. He acts as the dean of an assembly. Whenever our sages use the term Nasi, they're referring to this person. He assumes the position of Moses, our teacher.
Okay, so when you have the Jewish court, the Sanhedrin, that the chief justice is the Nasi. Okay, he leads, and so each of them have their distinct roles. The king, as we said, the king has the power. The Nasi is more the spiritual influence. A very interesting Jewish law is that a king can never lead on a Jewish court. He cannot be a judge in a Jewish court. Let's read 9.
What did you just say?
The king cannot be on the court. He cannot lead the Sanhedrin. Andrew, want to read number 9b?
A king of Israel may not be included on the Sanhedrin, or are forbidden to disagree with him and repudiate his words.
Okay, why? Because a king, he has the final say, and if he rules something that's not correct or that they don't agree with, they can't argue with him. They can't say words against him that would be rebellious. So because he has the power, he has to stay away from the
All of
being on
these
that type of
are
group.
that the 70 people and Moses are like, what is the rules, right?
These are all different things that we're learning about what about a nasi, and about a melech, about a king.
And it's this parsha.
So this part is about Korach,
Uh-huh.
but we're discussing why Korach why Moshe said, oh, he had to be rebellious, had to be quelled, why the rebellious had to be stopped, and why Eldad and Medad, the two other people who kind of like were started to like prophecy and things, why it was okay for them to do what they did, why Moshe did not stop them. So what's a leader? What is a nasi? What is someone who's leading? What are they trying to do? Okay, so text. Okay, so 1 second. So but yeah, there was one person, I mean, we're just talking about him the whole time, that he was both the king and the nasi. He did both. And who is that? Text read, yeah, if you read text number 10, Noya.
Moses, our master, was a king.
Okay, we know Moshe was a spiritual leader too. He was a nasi. And each spiritual leader throughout history, we always compare them to Moshe, right? Like Maimonides, we always say from Moshe to Moshe, because Maimonides' name was Moshe. There was no one like Moshe. And we spoke about on Sunday, Shmuel, the prophet, and we say that his mother wanted him to be like Moshe, and he was like Moshe, that he served the people, and he was an upright man. So we always are, when we're talking about the leaders of the Jewish people throughout history, we're always saying he is like the Moshe in our generation. Okay, it's a very common phrase. But the problem was here is that Moshe didn't think that anyone else can do both jobs. He knew he had both positions, but he's saying, who's going to succeed me? Who's going to be able to be both a king, both power, and nasi, and spiritual leadership? Can anyone else do that? And Hashem tells him, yes, Yoshua can do that. Text number 11. Oh, Shelley, we got back to you.
Lay your hand upon him refers to ordaining
One second,
him.
1 second. I think I skipped something.
No,
11.
Yeah.
She's reading 12.
Okay, I'm just trying to find it here. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Moses foresaw that Jewish history would be led by partners, as was the case during the era of the Mishnah. He expected that there would be two leaders, one to lead them in war and another to study the Torah and protect them with his merit. God told him to instruct Yoshua to be the Israelites' king, judge, and lead scholar. Thus, God told Moses, strengthen Yoshua and encourage him. Strengthen him in Torah study and encourage him in war.
Okay, so because Yoshua would be like Moshe, both the political leader and the spiritual leader, he received both. He received the smicha, the laying of the hands, and he read the splendor, right? Share with him your splendor, like the king part of it, the political leadership. Okay. 12a. Now we're at 12a. Catherine, can you read?
Sure. Lay your hand upon him refers to ordaining him as a rabbi, judge, and scholar. Sharing his wisdom and Holy Spirit is like sharing a light to kindle a new flame, in which case the first candle loses no light. Bestow some of your splendor upon him refers to the splendor of majesty and rulership. This is like pouring from one pitcher into another, in which case the first pitcher's contents are diminished. Similarly, when Moses transferred his kingship to Joshua, Moses was no longer king.
Okay, so this is why Moshe was not bothered by Eldad and Medad, because what were they doing? They were just trying to be more spiritual influence, right? They were prophesizing, not trying to exude power, which Korach was trying to do.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure that they're not trying to get power?
I'm just saying what the commentators are saying over here. Okay.
Yeah, I actually heard a different opinion about those two guys with prophecy.
There's a lot of different things about
To my
that. Yeah,
rabbi, it's not he's innocent, but he just gave a lecture 2 weeks ago.
right. We're focusing on this.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many different things. We could take everything and turn it both
He
ways.
said they were on the power trip a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying at first.
right.
Yeah.
Why did the Tehillim always say like to the sons of Korah? Like what
Because
is
they did tshuva, they repented, and so they actually these were the prayers that they made when they repented.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So 12b. Eileen, can you read?
Sure. And I will bestow your spirit upon the elders. To what was Moses compared at that hour? To a candle sitting atop a candelabra. Everyone lights their candle from its flame, yet its flame is not diminished.
So when you light a candle, as we said before, you don't take away, you add, right? So influence is always good. So Moshe gave the elders, gave these people his nasi qualities, his spiritual leadership qualities, okay? As opposed to his king, as opposed to Korach, who wanted the kingship, wanted the power.
If Korach didn't try to help Moses, that's saying and that and made that as doing things.
What?
Korach, it was Yeshua.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Text 13. Back over here. Yes, Carrie.
There can only be one leader in a generation. There cannot be two leaders.
Okay, that's for as far as kingship, right? You can never share a kingdom if if it's a monarchy. But spiritual leaders, you could have many, like you see today. There's different people. There's many different rabbis. People follow different people, right? Mm-hmm. You have rabbis. You have different prophets who are at the same time. So it's okay if Eldad or Medad were additionally prophesizing. But yes, of course, there's I thought they were doing exactly the right thing, but here we're showing that it wasn't so bad. Okay. But there could only be one king. So by Korach, Moshe had to stop it. And then we're going to read a little piece from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, 14a, Sylvia.
This then is a solution to the mystery of why when, how do you say that? You say don't.
You can say Joshua, but if not the Yoshua is the Hebrew word.
Feared that Eldad and Medad, who prophesied within the camp, were threatening Moses's authority. Moses replied, would that all the Lord's people were prophets? Joshua had confused influence with power. Eldad and Mehad neither sought nor gained power. Instead, for a while, they were given a share of the prophetic spirit that was on Moses. They participated in his influence. That is never a threat to prophetic authority. To the contrary, the more widely it is shared, the more there is. Power, however, is precisely what Korach and his followers sought. And in the case of power, rivalry is a threat to authority. There are many forms of government, monarchy, oligarchy, and democracy. But what they have in common is the concentration of power within a single body, whether person, group, or institution, such as a parliament. Without this monopoly on the legitimate use of coercive force, there is no such thing as government. That is why in Jewish law, a king is not allowed to renounce the honor due to him. Moses' request that Korach and his followers be swallowed up by the ground was neither anger nor fear. It was not motivated by any personal consideration. It was a simple realization that whereas prophecy can be shared, kingship cannot.
Okay. So now in the beginning of the class, we said, if you were ever a mentor or a teacher or a parent and whoever you're impressing upon is not doing what they're supposed to, not following, you feel like you're talking to the wall and you feel like a failure and all that, what do you do? So, right, there's a way you could preach, you could tell someone, do this, do that, you could give advice, or you could just be a model. Model good behavior, model, what a good person should be, and people learn from that the most, right? Children for sure, they learn by example, and even adults. So it's not what you say, but it's what you do. You could yield power, right? And say, okay, you don't do this and you're going to go into the corner, right? Or you're going to be docked from whatever you're going to, I don't know, whatever the punishments are, right? And so of course they're going to listen to you, but it's a short-term power. It's not going to last very long, the change. But if you want to have permanent results, being a good influence, being, showing what is a good way to be, that's much more powerful. And it might take time for that person to become like that, but eventually they'll follow your way, your step. So with influence, you could be a much greater leader sometimes than with power. We're going to go back to text number 14, no, 14b, sorry, a new text. Rabbi Sachs again. I guess Phyllis, you can do it.
Conclusion. The real leadership embraced by Tanakh and by Rabbinic Judaism is that of influence, above all, that of prophets and teachers. Moses was the first of a long line of figures in Jewish history. Among them, Ezra, Hillel, Rabban Yochanan, Ben Zakkai, Rabbi Akiva, the sages of the Talmud, and the scholars of the Middle Ages, who represent one of Judaism's most revolutionary ideas, the teacher as hero. Leaders are people able to mobilize others to act in certain ways. If they achieve this only because they hold power over them, this means treating people as means, not ends, as things, not persons. The other approach is to speak to people's needs and aspirations and teach them how to achieve these things together as a group. That is done through the power of vision, force of personality, the ability to articulate shared ideals in a language with which people can identify, and the capacity to raise up many disciples who will continue to work into the future. Power diminishes those on whom it is exercised. Influence and education lift and enlarge them. Not all of us have power, but we all have influence. That is why we can each be leaders. The most important forms of leadership come not with position, title, or robes of office, not with prestige and power, but with the willingness to work with others to achieve what we cannot do alone. To speak, to listen, to teach, to learn, to treat other people's views with respect, even if they disagree with us, to explain patiently and cogently why we believe what we believe and why we do what we do, to encourage others, praise their best endeavors, and challenge them to do better still. Always choose influence rather than power. It helps change people into people who change the world. That was powerful.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. So tonight is Gimel Tammuz, the third of Tammuz. It's the 32nd year that the Rebbe is not with us physically, the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Passed away today?
Gimel Tammuz.
I mean, well, coming.
Yeah,
like
the third, yeah.
in 2 minutes.
The Rebbe believed in leadership through influence, and his influence has only grown since then. So, like, I remember it was, I guess 32, that's years ago. How many people, were involved with Chabad, knew about the Rebbe, knew the Rebbe's teachings, and then, and today, how many more, and how much, like, every single facet of Judaism has accepted his teachings and have shared his teachings, and his light, his influence, or whatever, his candle has not diminished. It has only spread and grown larger. I wanted to share a few stories, so I wanted to turn this into a little, like, we're going to skip the last thing if you want, you can read it your own, but I wanted to share this into a little farbrengen, a little group chat and discussion and everything. So I wanted to share a little bit about just some stories about the Rebbe and the Rebbe's influence, I guess, in my life, or how I grew up. And I'd like you guys to share what influence you had from the Rebbe's teachings, or how, your life has changed because of that. So last night, actually, I heard a really interesting story. there was a young boy. This was probably back in the I want to say 50s.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're allowed to make noise. His name was Boomy Friedland. Okay. And he was a religious boy, not Chabad, and it was like his bar mitzvah time. And he had this very good teacher who told them, if you ever have any problem in the world with anything, there's one Jew in Brooklyn, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who will answer you. Write him a letter and he'll help you. He's a tzaddik, he's a pious, and that's it. And this boy had just turned bar mitzvah, he had just gotten his tefillin, and within a few months, his tefillin were stolen. And he was really upset and really angry. And I'm sure, obviously it costed a lot of money. And he's like, what do I do? What should I do? Who would do that? And he started to think, oh yeah, my teacher said that there's a tzaddik in New York. And if he's a tzaddik, he knows who stole my tefillin. He can help me. So he decided to write a letter to the Rebbe. And he wrote a letter to the Rebbe. Hi, my teacher told me that you can help. And you're a tzaddik. And please help me. My tefillin were stolen. Please tell me who stole my tefillin, or tell me where they are so I can get them back. And the Rebbe writes him back a letter. So to preface the letter, there is a law that if someone uses stolen tefillin, the mitzvah is not counted because you're using stolen goods, right? Yes. You can't get a mitzvah from something bad that you did like that. If that person sold the tefillin to somebody else, and you already gave up, like, oh, I'm not going to find my tefillin anymore, then the third party, his mitzvah of putting on tefillin is okay. But if you're still thinking, oh no, who stole my tefillin? Where's my tefillin? I want them back. Then even that third party won't particularly have the mitzvah of tefillin. So the Rebbe writes to him, I can't help you figure out who stole your tefillin or tell you where your tefillin are, but why don't you first forgive the person? Because don't you want his mitzvah of putting on tefillin, of someone who's putting on your tefillin, at least be a mitzvah, and it shouldn't be in vain? And this changed his perspective of how, he thought about life. And because of that, I guess he became more connected to Chabad, to the Rebbe. He is now a leader of yeshiva. He's Rosh Yeshiva, a very, very brilliant man. It's funny because I've heard of his name through something else, like some personal story that I know, personal people that I know who know him. And then I saw the story about him. I'm like, oh, that's his story. That's interesting. And he's a big rabbi. He's a big Rosh Yeshiva in Israel somewhere. He's a very, very brilliant mind. And that's how he became connected to Chabad. It's a very, very interesting story.
Wow. Thank you.
I have to read okay. So there's another story that they have here in my book that I could share about this.
Wait, a question.
Yeah.
Did they ever find his tefillin?
Not that I know of. Oh, so he told his father. His father's like, not over my dead body. You're forgiving that person who stole that tefillin. But the boy, I guess, convinced his father that that's okay. Yeah. So there was a young girl, Sarah Altine, and she lived in the Bronx in the late 60s. And so she went to school in the Bronx, Jewish schools, like one Jewish school. But at certain points, her parents were the Chabad rabbi and rebbetzin in the Bronx. And at a certain point, they said, you know what? You might as well travel to Crown Heights every day and go to the Chabad school. And it was very hard for her. She wasn't, it was a whole different group of girls. It was a huge, big class compared to what she was used to. And she didn't adjust very, very well. And, it was hard to really fit in and belong. And, she's always calling and complaining, calling home and complaining. And so she decided to write a letter to the Rebbe and tell the Rebbe, help, what should I do? And tell her all her dreams about what she wanted to do when she grew up, or how she wanted to grow, and what she wanted to do, as an adult and everything like that. A few months later, her family was having a private audience with the Rebbe, and they was for her brother's bar mitzvah. And when they came to the 770, the Rebbe secretary, Rebbe Groner, said, I could unstop the share. Stop the share so we can see each other. There we go. He said, told Sarah, come with me to my office. I have a letter from you from the Rebbe. And her father was like, what? You have a letter from the Rebbe? Like, wow, how did that happen? And it was a long letter. And in the letter, she was like, I don't know, she had written the letter a few months before, so she kind of like forgot about it. And it was a whole long letter describing why the choices of what she wanted to do was not such good choices, and how it was so important, since she had a difficult time adjusting in school, how important it was for her to go and teach and run a school to show how to help the children who are struggling, the children who needed extra help, and the children who needed extra assist, to fit in and to belong. How she could be so good, at that because of her experience. When the Rebbe told her that, she was still in school, and so she realized she doesn't have to be a victim anymore. She could really start now and do that and work on helping other girls who are coming into the school adjust properly. And then in the end, she actually runs she's a principal in a school in France. So really, really.
She was from New York.
Yeah, but she lived in the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yeah.
She stayed in Brooklyn.
Bronx or Italian.
Okay, but I'm saying she didn't take that train. It's 2 hour ride.
It's not so long. No,
It's an hour. I know.
Yeah, they boarded. They boarded in. Yeah, they boarded by the
Trust me,
grandparents.
I've
Okay.
done it.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Very famous.
Yeah.
Very well.
Okay, and then a third story. I wish I had the woman's name. I think her name is something Clark, but I don't want to say the wrong name. There was the first Black woman to get into, I think, the House of Representatives, I want to say, was from Brooklyn. And she, it was a big deal that she got in.
Yeah.
I could go look. You can look her up. You're always looking things up while I'm talking, okay? And she got in to, and she was very happy and proud of herself. And they put her on the cultural committee, something like that. And she's like, what does a city girl know from agriculture? And I think it's just double check. I think it's representative and not senator. Yeah. And she didn't know what to do. And somehow someone connected her to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe told her, why don't you figure out how to take all the excess agriculture, right? A lot of times the farmers are throwing out all the extra food, and figure out a way to give it to the poor people who don't have the money to buy the food. And I don't know if he told her, or if because of that, she figured out she's the one who actually started the food stamp system, the EBT system, through the Rebbe's guidance to her to take. And so she knew what it meant to be a poor person, she knew what it meant to have poor families in Brooklyn with no food. And here we have all these farmers with the excess. So the government, paid the farmers for the excess food at a really cheap price, and they're able to give it over. I guess it started out with stores that were special, that you're able to buy the produce then, with your special, food. Those days it was called food stamps. So there's so many ways the Rebbe's influence in so many different things.
It's Shirley Chisholm who became the first Black woman.
So check the other thing. Is that her name? From New York?
Yeah.
So maybe it's her. Okay.
It's the C.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It's close.
I don't know.
Shirley, but Shirley sounds right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if anyone has any story to share, or even just how you felt influenced by the Rebbe's teaching or the Rebbe's influence.
I can tell that since I met you and since I started coming to Chabad, my goals are changed a little bit, and I always thought, okay, I want a career, I want to success for myself, for my freedom, and now all of my prayer is I want to succeed in order to feed people, in order to have people coming over and have place for Shabbat and can eat, and it's a really big thing for me now.
Great.
Wow.
How many people have you invited already?
She first needs a place.
I have a good news.
Oh.
I have a good news. I wanted to share it.
Oh, yes.
I found a place. I found an apartment. It's a project for Balo Tshuva. And really nice.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, so you got that guy accepted you? Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Is it here in Santa Monica or Pico
It's
Robinson?
Pico.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Very nice.
And then hopefully you'll be able to find a job or something over there.
Hashem.
Okay.
So I was so stressed, and then I throw everything on Hashem, and he really fixed it. Because
Wow.
no way to do it, and he's like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Hatzlacha.
Very
Very good.
Wow,
Wow.
excellent.
Beautiful.
Congratulations.
So I know a lot of times people ask me, oh, was the Rebbe like this? Did the Rebbe feel like that? It's very, very hard to explain, but I'm going to try to like attempt to explain what the Rebbe is, because you know, I grew up with the Rebbe, so even though I live in Chicago, everything, like our family, you know, we all lived by the Rebbe's words, by the Rebbe's, you know, teaching. We knew that if any big thing in life, anything that happened, we write to the Rebbe, we ask the Rebbe a question, and the Rebbe will answer us and tell us what to do. Sometimes he wasn't so direct in telling us what to do, but sometimes he was, and you would never not do what the Rebbe said, because if you would meet the Rebbe wasn't like an ordinary person or just like, oh, a special rabbi. He was much, much, much more than that. So from when I was a very young child, my family would go often to New York. We'd travel to New York to go and see the Rebbe. So besides for that, even more than that, so when the Rebbe would speak, like he would give over talks, they would have special hookups. It was days before internet,
Right.
and they would hook up through phone lines, like on speaker, and you were able to hear. We were able to hear the Rebbe's talk. We were that happened. My father arranged it. It was in our home in Chicago.
Wow.
So all the Chabad people of the neighborhood would come to our home.
Wow.
You know, sometimes it was planned, sometimes it was more not planned. And it would all, and some of these Farbrangans would last sometimes, you know, well, New York time, like till 2 a.m, whatever. So Chicago time wasn't as bad, but still pretty late. And my house would just be like a train station all night, you know, and we would hear. So we really grew up with the, you know, how important it was to follow the Rebbe, to hear the Rebbe's words, because we knew his advice and his spiritual was something beyond. It wasn't just like a wise man telling you what to do. It was much more beyond that. When we went to
Spoke in Yiddish, right?
He mostly spoke in Yiddish. There were occasions where he spoke in Russian, or he spoke in English, or he spoke in Hebrew. Definitely to person, yes, for sure. But there were a few occasions where he spoke publicly in another language.
Right. Okay. Well, when you heard him on the radio, you heard him on the phone.
It was usually Yiddish, but there were specific things or like occasions.
Yeah, so saying your whole family had to understand it.
I didn't exactly understand, you know, not that I followed, but I knew the holiness of it. I knew like the importance of it.
Well, your parents knew Yiddish?
Yeah.
I mean, my dad knew. Yeah.
Do they know enough to follow along exactly and understand? I don't know. But there was always people who would explain afterwards. So yeah. So we did go. So we did go to the Rebbe, you know, I say at least once a year, maybe even more than that. You didn't particularly go and see face to face with the Rebbe until the Rebbe started giving out dollar bills, which you've all seen that famous
or $2
there, or whatever, or $5, whatever it was. That probably started in like the 1980s.
Yes.
Okay, because I remember the first time we were in New York and that happened. Was very exciting because he gave out dollar as in like he's going to give you people who wanted to come and see him and speak with him. He didn't have enough time to have like a whole meeting with so many people. He used to like have meetings and it would go be late at night. It would be all night speaking with people. So instead, he would start to do the dollars where he's giving tzedakah. So you take this dollar, put a dollar in tzedakah. So a lot of people kept that dollar because that was like kind of like holy, or that had the vessel of the bracha, of the blessing, and he would give them a blessing. And so you take a dollar, put in tzedakah. So you're doing a mitzvah. So that like creates the vessel, the holder for the blessing to come true. Okay, and so you got to meet the Rebbe. You got a very quick.
Well,
a
first
second.
You tell him your thing.
Not even always. Sometimes you just walk by.
Like
Yeah.
how can I have one?
It's not so easy.
Well, that's true too, but usually people gone online because they had some kind of issue that you decided you had.
But you had like a second to speak.
You had a second to speak. No, but people,
whatever.
Okay, I know lots of people in New York who actually got their message through.
Right.
But
a very short moment.
And he would say something back to you really quick.
Right.
And he was very sharp when you say you have a problem, and you'd say it succinctly.
Yeah.
And he would say something.
Or people wrote to him also, and they called in.
But the dollar
line, So there's so many videos. There's so many videos online where you can see.
Yeah, but I know people's.
Yeah, there's a lot. So I'm saying you see a lot of you see people saying things, asking him things, and answering.
You don't hear their words because it's
right. Sometimes they sometimes private, so they kind of
thing,
not gonna.
So,
Yeah. There's a lot of stories like that. Yes. So
or sometimes
yes.
you also pass the piece of paper. You have a choice.
you can either say something, or I actually do know a couple of people who actually wrote a message and you hand it. Well, you hand it to a person who hands it. You don't hand it directly to him.
But he didn't answer that on the spot. He would send you back an answer. Usually, he didn't read it. If it was a letter, a paper, he'd put in a bag, and he'd read it when he had
The
time.
question was like, if you could answer right away,
Right.
you would. Like, if
Right.
it's a yes or no question, you could say yes, or you could say yes. It was like yes or no. I know people had yes or no questions, but right, more complicated questions.
No, but even so, sometimes people prefer to just write it on a paper because there is that idea of writing
Right,
your.
you could write it,
Even
yes,
when
yes.
people went in to visit him in private
Right.
audience, you
Right.
put your request on paper.
Paper, right. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So so there's no way to describe him in like human. I mean, obviously he's human, but like he was way beyond anything that we could imagine. I'm saying meeting him many times personally, and seeing him and seeing things that happened, things that he said. It's very hard to like put him on a plane with just another,
Right.
Whatever humans that we know. I'm saying obviously there were humans in history that were like that,
Right.
but but very strong connection to God, very strong connection to heaven, and very strong connection to people. Very strong, empathy and understanding,
They can
and
read people
seeing
very well.
and seeing but not from a natural standpoint. That's what I'm trying to explain. It's more of a supernatural. So meeting you and seeing you and knowing what was good for you. And because he saw your neshama, he saw your soul, and he saw the good in you.
Okay, so I believe the opposite. Everybody can do that. He just actually could do it in real life. I think everybody has the capability. I don't think it's supernatural. I think it is natural. The thing is, we're like less natural. In other words, we're denatural.
Well, we're not in tune.
We're not in tune. So I think it actually is natural.
But it's more than that. He was able to
I think everybody has the capability, except he's the only one that actually kind of achieved it. I'm not the only one, but one of the few.
Yeah. So anyway, so
Did you ever ask him a question?
Huh?
Did you ever ask?
Yeah.
Did he answer you?
No. So like, let's say I went for dollars like before my birthday. I would say it's going to be my birthday, or I think one time I went and it was like my father's birthday, or my father's birthday maybe. I said it was going to be my father's. I don't remember exact, but I do have some video.
But you never asked a specific problem.
No. Writing.
I mean,
or in speaking, or in sending a message through his secretary, but not.
And you got
at dollars. I'm trying to remember if I ever asked a question. So I was I'll tell you a story. My friend, and there's actually a video. It's if I could find it. My friend, my roommate actually, her father worked for the government. He worked. Oh, don't ask me exactly. Like from the in the intelligence department, kind of like in the Department of Defense. And so, he did things, I guess, I don't know if it was like engineering type of job. And he had cancer, and she got a call. This was days before cell phones and all that kind of stuff. She got a call one day that like one morning on Sunday morning or Saturday, probably Sunday morning, like her father's not well, he's in the hospital, and this is a situation. Please go right away and ask the Rebbe for a bracha. So I went with her. We went to the line for dollars, and it was her turn. She said, my father is, sick, he's not well, he needs a bracha. And the Rebbe said, well, I'll turn it around and let's see. And the Rebbe said, how is
I'm telling you, I think.
Is that you? Or is that my phone?
My auntie's calling me. Maybe she's waiting me out.
Oh, she ring the bell?
Oh yeah,
You're scared?
So. Thank you.
Someone's knocking the door?
Yeah.
Knocking. Somebody's not. It must be your relative.
I hope that's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I guess so. That's okay.
Pick her up. Oh.
They're scared. They're worried about her. I don't know. Anyway, so so what happened? So the Rebbe says, how's his work on the Scud missiles? Because it was by the Persian Gulf War, or was it right before the Persian Gulf War, during the Persian Gulf?
I'm sorry for that.
It's okay, as long as she's okay and you're okay.
No, they're okay. They were waiting for me.
They're worried about you?
Oh, okay.
No,
You have to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No problem. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, be in touch. You can leave it. Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And good news. Yeah.
Good for the place.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
So perhaps good news.
Yeah, good news.
Yeah.
Happy for your good news.
Just keep going. Good news.
Sorry. Hope I see you.
Yeah, be in touch. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, so he said, how's his work on the Scud missile? And she's like, he's sick. He's in the hospital. He's not working right now. And he's like, well, how's the work? And she said, well, his team is working on it. And he's like, and I forgot exactly what he said, but he's like, hey, he should have a lot of success in that, whatever, yeah, something, to do with that.
Missile, right.
Right, Scott? Is that the, no,
Scud missile, yes,
no,
yeah.
the things that stopped them during the Persian Gulf War, sorry,
I'm sorry to think of what?
that stopped the missiles, I don't remember, was that the Scud?
Interceptors.
I don't know, I forgot what it was. Okay, anyway, so like she was all taken aback, and she didn't even know that her father was working on that specific thing. And and she went back home and told her, she called her parents, whatever. And yeah, I mean, so thank God he lived like another, I don't know, a few years after that. But also, but they were successful. It was made of Iron Dome, or whatever it was. I forgot what it was. It was the things that were stopping the Scud missiles, maybe.
Well,
Okay.
that's the Israel.
Yeah, it was Israel. He was working. He was working in the American government. No, he was working with the American government, but for helping Israel defend itself with these.
Well, I know it's her. Yeah,
Was Iron Dome?
Technion, but
No, I don't remember what it was. Whatever it was, he was. Yeah, but he was very involved with with the defense.
It's ballistic.
Whatever, I don't remember what it was. Okay, we can look it up. See, I'm very not good at details. Anyway, so yeah, so that was like a star right there. I mean, there's times when I wrote the number to ask, should I do this or should I do that?
I understand the story. So
he's coming that he's sick,
right, yeah,
and he's telling him, tell her he needs to work on that.
Sorry. That's what.
And that system, and she didn't even have any clue that he was working on that system. And she's like, nobody's sick, but he's like,
wait, no, okay. I wonder what the Rebbe said. Tell him to go.
So
back.
that he needs to make sure to work on that. Yeah,
sure,
like
okay.
How's it doing? He needs to work on it. Yeah.
Okay. That's. I didn't understand what the Rebbe was saying.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the story.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe says you got to go back and work on that thing.
Right. Make sure. Yeah.
And she was just telling him that she wasn't well.
No, her father.
I mean,
Yeah. I have a video of it somewhere.
Ken probably wasn't well, not the prestige of him that he wasn't.
But he's like basically saying like for sure he's gonna get better. He has to like work on this, and she had no clue even that he was working on this thing. So
well, he's not just about it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Anyway, I don't have all exact things. That's my problem. Anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to share if anyone here like what teaching of the Rebbe that you heard or know or feel has like influenced your life. If anyone else wants to share a story that they heard.
Yeah, I understand about yard signs. That's a big thing in New York City. And that's you always celebrate. You go far, you travel to New York City just for the yards.
You were there?
Certain type of prayer in Virginia.
Yeah. Were you there? Were you there? No.
So much about.
Oh, you heard so much about it.
Well, I mean, all what we teach here and on the Chabad house is all here because of the Rebbe's vision and the Rebbe's influence.
When I was like in a dark period of my life, and I was looking for like some guidance and wisdom, and I just went through many things, like also like Eastern, not religion, but influence, maybe some Christianity, not exactly like following that, but using the wisdom, opera, just like popular wisdom, just trying to to learn something, self-help books, and just nothing was sticking. I just like it didn't feel authentic. It just felt like like anybody can come up with those things. And I went to the library and I picked up the book by, I think it was Toward Meaningful Life, Jacobson.
Simon Jacobson.
And I remember like, in the bus and the trains, and I was reading and I'm like, this is just like resonates with my thoughts. Like that's something that I thought about, but wasn't sure if it was the right thing. And was just exactly what I was like, I was blown away.
Wow.
That's like I started.
That's what started you back on your track of Judaism.
Wow. That was when you first did.
But even now, I'm saying, but even today, we're always writing to the Rebbe, like, we have issues with this and that. And I go to New York, I say, okay, I bring things to his graveside and stuff for everybody and share everybody. And I definitely feel a difference. I really feel like a load off my shoulder, and what I'm saying, and feel that things like even this whole story with the property that we're this whole campaign. If you're not familiar with,
did it go through?
So we did everything on our part. They got a little behind the other side, so they should be finished with them. By next week.
I was gonna say that I didn't get to say my thing yet. You asked what inspired us, and that's the Rebbe's prophecy about the house next door.
Oh, yeah.
That 50 years later, that you would, buy the next property or that it should happen again, getting the keys, like that inspired me.
Oh, nice. Yes, yes. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
My mom used to love real estate. She'd buy houses and
Mhm.
we have real estate in the valley.
Mhm.
But so I guess the whole thing with the real estate is that this house next door, so you plan to buy the house.
Well, when whoever didn't hear the story, for 50 years ago, or yeah, a little bit more than 50 years ago, it's like coming into the 50th year, my in-laws bought the first Chabad property, and it's not the one that they are now, but one that was before that, here in Sukkot Monica, and they brought the key to the Rebbe, and they said, "Here's the key to." One of the community members said, "Here's the key to the new Chabad house," and the Rebbe said, "You should do this." I'm going to say the wrong words, but let this happen again. The next 50 years, you'll do. May you be.
He said
I have the words.
In the
Jubilee.
Jubilee?
Yes, I think you should have another
The
Jubilee.
Jubilee.
No, I just wrote the whole story up to yesterday. And I was like, when we were editing it today, so I should know the words by now. Of course, I don't. And
There should be another celebration.
Yes, in another 50 years, right? Next Jubilee, next 50 years should be a good start, and this should be a good start.
Right, always a good start. They always say.
And then for years and years, Robert, we had this property next to us. It used to be this old couple that lived there, and we tried to like arrange that one for when they we make a deal that like when they get too old or when they die, we'll be able to like buy it off, slowly buy it off of them. And I don't know, I guess maybe the kids didn't want. And then when they died, one of the grandchildren bought the property from all the other, bought all the other parts of the property,
Bottom out.
Yeah, bottom out. Then he put it up for sale, but he put it up like whatever many years ago. And he was up for sale for like a lot of money, and he wasn't, he ended up selling it for cheap because it was like a friend of his or some acquaintance of his, and they were supposed to develop it, and they made it, and they got all the permits to like build there, to like build condominiums or apartments, and then they decided they're just going to sell it instead of building.
Wow.
And now when they did it, things fell into place that we had a slight chance of even buying it, and people ended up stepping up. People, it was a matcher that was able to give a good part of the money. Another person who was very involved trying to get us, helping us with the, and then the rest was all from everybody else. So we were able to. So once we realized the Rebbe's bracha, we realized it was 50, it was the 50th year, and all these other things were like, oh my gosh, we have to make this miracle happen. We have to make this bracha actually fulfill, the prophecy come for true, and that's actually what happened. So
How you what's with the actually bought now?
almost. Yeah, almost.
What about you
we
guys?
have the money
You
part.
didn't ask these two guys.
Well, I'm asking everybody.
Oh, okay. Maybe Carrie or Phyllis. Is it?
Shall you have anything to share?
I think that his prophecy about starting the Chabad houses and all the shlochim and all of that, because of that, I found Chabad.
Wow.
And have been able to better myself and closeness to Hashem and learn more about Judaism, and I'm very thankful for that.
Very nice.
Exactly. So yeah,
him fulfilling his dreams really helped me fulfill many of mine.
Right. So it wasn't even his dream. It was, he saw what Hashem's dream is of,
Yes.
bringing Mashiach, making this world all holy, all godly, everyone, transforming as many things in this world to mitzvahs, to do what Hashem, to do what we're supposed. Why were they created here in the purpose? And because he believed in that so much, he influenced us,
and he accomplished so much.
The next person, everyone else influences each other, and it's a snowball effect of influence.
Right.
Also, I know he was a big proponent to bring Jews from Russia. So
Yes.
Yeah.
So my mother, she was very involved with that.
Right.
I told you before. So there's actually a story. So because he said that people should get involved in helping the Jewish people from Russia acclimate and come, get over here. She was very, very involved. She's she started small, but she like would find guarantor families for people to be able to immigrate and come over. When they would come, she would help them find jobs and help them find things. And one of the things she did was help arrange for the men and the boys who never got circumcised because it was illegal in the Soviet Union to get their circumcision, to get their bris. And she arranged with like a Jewish hospital in Chicago, Mount Sinai Hospital, that they asked everyone, should they just do a few a day, or should they try to do like a whole bunch and what, just get as many in as possible, like take over the operating room in the hospital. And the Rebbe said, yes, dude, like he should just do it, get it done. And they took over the hospital, the operating room in the hospital there. And like, I don't know how many they did that day, but it's all because of the Rebbe's, vision and everything. So she got so many, and the Rebbe gave her this answer when on Erev Yom Kippur, which is a very, very, very busy day for him, like of doing all his preparations and everything for Yom Kippur, but he had the time because he cared so much to that Jewish people should do what they need to do. So yeah.
I have a small thing just to say. It's minor compared to all these others. Of course, everything you said is great. So just in my house, okay, so I read Rabbi Isaac, I read the Chabad, I read Rabbi Konakov and everything like that. So this is interesting. So in the Jewish Journal, you print every week the Rebbe on the side.
Not me, but somebody does.
You do, somebody does.
I don't know.
And I always forget that. And for some reason, Mike, my husband, we were talking over the table, on Shabbat, either Friday night or Saturday. He always says, wait, but the Rebbe, and he'll run to the couch and he'll pick up the Jewish Journal and say, we have to read this. And I'm like, you? Really? And he does. He's like, you hear, because sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. But nonetheless, he reads it regardless. I don't mind if he disagrees with Rebbe, but at least he read it, right? So, and he just reads it anyway.
That's your miracle.
That's my miracle at home. Yeah.
Very nice.
It's a small baby miracle, but hey.
My brother said he's going to the Ochel tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's very cute.
He's not Chabad.
That's right, exactly.
I see they have a Chabad in Iceland.
Right.
They have a Chabad in Iceland, which I think is so cool where they go so far. And I just somehow got attached to the email and they just had like some I don't know, with charity initiative and they raised all this money and they're doing really well there. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Iceland.
Yeah, go visit there sometime. I want to go visit.
In all these African countries, all kind of places.
Wow.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for joining. Great, nice meeting you.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Feel good, Shelley. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. You too, Catherine and Batya.
Bye, Sri. Thank you.
Bye,
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Have you been